So what is the number one issue facing record collectors in 2021? I have surveyed hundreds of record collectors over the past week or so, and I think I have the answer. We can discuss that and more coming up next. Hi, my name is Frank. Welcome back to Channel 33 RPM, your channel for vinyl, gear, and more. Over the past week or so, I've been posting these vinyl-related surveys on my YouTube page. Hundreds of you, if not thousands, have responded. And I gotta tell you, I have found the results fascinating, and they are not necessarily what I had anticipated. We're gonna get into that in a moment, but first of all, I gotta tell you, the results of these surveys are not statistically valid. That said, they're interesting, and I definitely think they represent a snapshot of where the average record collector is at here in the early days of 2021. But enough babbling, let's check out some of these survey results. So the first question here pertained to the vinyl revival, and I asked you, so what do you think? Will the vinyl revival continue in 2021? For this question, we had 926 votes. A whopping 82% of you thought that record sales would continue to grow in 2021, while only 18% felt record sales was slowed down in 2021. So of course, this comes at a time when record sales absolutely exploded in 2020, and towards the end of the year, I mean, these numbers kept going up, and all sorts of records were set. Just look at some of the comments that you guys left with that particular question. Philip Wren wrote, I think it'll continue, it'll grow some more yet. The bubble's not ready to burst despite the prices of new vinyl. Jamie wrote, I think the key factor will be price. Keep it sensible and the market will grow. Start gouging and demand will drop. So these are common sentiments we will see in some of the upcoming questions, sort of in terms of prices and quality of records, all of which are concerns for record collectors, and as they should be. I said we're going to come to that in a moment, but I mean, overall, you guys are pretty positive, have a pretty positive outlook in terms of the way the industry is headed. Next question was, I'm curious, did you buy more records this year, being 2020, compared to 2019 or less? Personally, I slowed down on my record purchases a bit due to rising costs. I'd love to hear about your experience. So unfortunately, I think I may have inadvertently prejudiced that question by inserting my own opinion. I should not have done that, but the results are interesting nonetheless, and over 1,000 people weighed into that one. And of those, 60%, 60, said they bought more records in 2020, and 34% say they bought fewer records in 2020. So, I mean, we're continuing right there to see healthy growth. I mean, we saw the stats where, as we talked about, new records have been were set in 2020 for record sales, and you guys are loving it. You guys, in general, have been buying more records. So let's keep going. This is one I found extremely interesting. The question was, in your view, what is the number one issue facing record collectors? At the time of posting or recording this video, I had 1.1 thousand responses, and 64% of you said the number one issue facing you as a record collector is the rising cost of new and used records. Of course, this is something we've talked about for the past year or two, because there's been a noticeable spike in the price of records, new and used, of course. I mean, the used market is mostly dictated by supply and demand, and websites like Discogs are sort of, in my opinion, fueling this increase in prices. I mean, I love Discogs. I'm not dissing it. It's a great resource. It's a great place to buy records. It's a great place to research records. But at the end of the day, Discogs exists for the sole purpose of making money, and they make more money when the records sell for more money. They get a percentage of those sales. So it's in their best interest to see those prices increase, and sellers, are looking at the average selling price, and one thing leads to another and prices go up. So that's with used. New records too, we've seen the prices continue to grow and to increase. And I thought it was mostly a Canadian thing, but hearing what you guys are telling me, it's a worldwide issue. So we're gonna get more on prices again in a bit. But so that seems to be the number one issue facing record collectors right now, and that's the rising cost of records. Number two, 26% of you flag this one as being the number one issue, and that's quality control issues with new vinyl. And this is an issue as well that we've talked about on this channel many times, so we shouldn't be surprised to see that many record collectors flag this as an issue. And it boils down to the fact that we are buying new records and they're coming out of the sleeves scuffed, or the center spindle hole is too small, or it's off center. I was going to call them small things. I guess in the big picture of life they are small things, but as we've said before, we are paying a premium price for premium products, so we should actually expect a premium product. And these sort of small flaws really tend to add up over time. That said, it's not every record, it's not every record pressing plant. There are some that are worse than others, and I do think that this is getting slightly better. I noticed, maybe in the past 6 months, quality control has improved somewhat, but still an issue. Number three on this list, it really drops off after this. 5% of you flag the scarcity of new pressings as the number one issue. So that is, goes back to things like Record Store Day and limited edition exclusive records, and they get snapped up and they're hard to get. And then they end up on the resale market, and of course, at many times their retail cost. 3% of you said, all's good. So that's good. Let's see some of the comments, what people were saying here about this one. Zachary wrote, the quality control issues have made buying new records a crapshoot. I'm not crazy about new higher prices, but I get it. I just expected quality for my money. Bang on, man. Zachary, you nailed it. That's the whole thing. We have a choice as to, we have the choice as to whether we're going to plop down that $30 or whatever for that record. What we don't have a choice about is the quality of that record. So you pay the bucks, you want the quality. Beware of Darkness says, for me, it's about quality control issues. I'd like vinyl to be cheaper, but I don't mind paying a premium price for a premium product. What I don't like is getting brand new records that are warped or pressed off center right out of the gate. That's just not acceptable for the price involved. Amen, brother or sister. And again, we have Philip here weighing in again. He says, if quality went up as fast as prices, it wouldn't be a problem. We pay for quality, so why don't we get it? So there's a common theme. So this is something I hope is addressed by the record labels in 2021, and we'll come back in a year and see if these are still, the big issues that we're facing. So next question, which statement do you agree with most? Compared to this year, being 2020, in 2021, I will likely... And this question gets at how many records you guys can be purchasing. So this is interesting. About 1/3 of you said you're going to buy more records in 2021. And about 1/3 of you are saying you're going to buy about the same amount of records. So there's obviously still that thirst. And people are wanting to buy records because only 17% of you are saying you're going to buy fewer records. And 12% are saying you're not sure. So, looking at this, it seems that high prices are not necessarily scaring away the majority of records and even the quality control issues. These are all problems and are all things, particularly the quality control issue, that we hope are addressed, but they're not scaring you away. You're still willing to roll the dice and buy records, and there's still, as I said, a real hunger for that. So that's really encouraging to see that, at least in this community, people really want records and they're going to continue buying them. And this question, I just posted this 6 or 7 hours ago, so the responses will build up more over time. 600 votes to this question. Generally, what is the most you would pay for a new record? This being a single LP set, black vinyl, non-gatefold. Looking at some of these responses, I'm seeing so far that you have concerns about quality, you have concerns about rising prices. You're still going to buy records, but there's this kind of line in the sand, it seems. The magic number seems to be around $25 US, where nearly half of you are saying, yeah, sure, I'll buy records and I'll spend up to $25 for a plain Jane record. Not a big deal. And after that, it's dropping off a little bit. Once we get into the $35 category, it's like most people have dropped off. Then once we get over $35, a good chunk of you are saying you'll spend that money, but it's really going to depend on the artist and on the release. So I could see that, perhaps if it's an exclusive limited pressing from one of your favorite bands, from an album that's been out of print for a while, maybe you'll fork over a few extra bucks to get that in your collection. So that $25 sweet spot sort of is reinforced in the comments. Evan wrote, depending on what it is and how badly I wanted it, $22 US. Blackhawk wrote, usually I don't buy new records, but $20 I guess is the top I'd pay for a single LP, unless it's something very special. And Rebnob Full Roar wrote, $25 with shipping if it's plain black. I usually get colored records, and of those I usually go up to $40 with shipping, depending on the album and on the band. Sometimes more if it's got something else special about it, like if it's signed or if it's in a bundle, etc. So there you go. I love this. I loved throwing some of these surveys out there and seeing your responses and seeing where you're all at. I will do that more in the future, and I'll revisit this topic again in a year from now to see in 2022 where we are at collectively with the whole record buying thing. Let me know what you thought, dear 33ers, in the comments below. I'd love to hear some of your responses and thoughts on some of these questions. Please do weigh in. Remember, if you dug this video, I'd appreciate a quick thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Dear 33ers, have a great week. Until next time, keep on spinning.